Welcome everyone. Today we are going to be talking about the truth about refinancing your home. When I refinanced this property that I'm in filming this video, this was the paperwork. I killed an entire tree refinancing this home. Refinancing your home will often lower your payment. For me, my payment went from $1,300 a month to $1,207 a month. And that sounds great on the surface, but it had a negative impact on my net worth. There are closing costs involved in the loan, and that will have a negative impact on your net worth. And I'm just going to keep repeating that throughout the video so that it gets driven home, because I listen to mortgage calls all day and I hear people on these calls paying thousands of dollars to buy down their rate. And what they are doing is effectively eating into their home equity by rolling these costs of buying down the rate into their loan. And so they're not really coming out ahead. And so I'm going to go through all the numbers on my own loan to show you what you should and shouldn't do. I made a whole document about this refinance process because I was auditing the refinance process for the company that I work for. That company is called Shop Your Own Mortgage. So let's go through this document, and I want to go through some things with the refinance. So the first contact, I contacted the loan officer. I got a quote. I was quoted at 3.375 with a small lender credit, and UWM was the lender with the best rate for me. I locked in a 3.25% rate, and Shop Your Own Mortgage, because I'm an employee and I was going through this process, they offered to pay for my points on that. And so let's go to the loan estimate and see what that looks like. This is the initial loan estimate with the 3.25% rate. You can see it right here. The loan amount is $270,000. That's just an estimate. It's not actually that amount. And the monthly principal and interest is $1,175. And so I put a little note here. It says $1,175 is $125 under my current payment, but this is not an accurate reflection of what my total loan amount will be. The payoff is going to be higher, and the closing costs will raise the loan amount. And the reason I'm putting these comments in is because I'm auditing the process so that future customers who go through it can have a smoother process. If we go down here to the loan costs, you see that I paid some points here, $572, to lower my rate. I lowered it from a 3.375 down to a 3.25. So Shop Your Own Mortgage again agreed to pay that $572, so I wasn't concerned. We'll get to that later. Right here, I made a note that said that I was told there was no appraisal fee. They did not need an appraisal for this property for me to refinance it. I had just gotten the initial loan on it, and my initial loan was a 4% loan, and this new loan was going to be 3.25%. Down here, I talk about the payoff amount here is probably not accurate. This could potentially mismanage the expectations for customers, so I made a note of that. And the payoff amount was a little bit different from the listed price here. It ended up being $271,900. So right here you see estimated cash to close from the buyer. They want $6,000 from me. So I can either roll that into my loan or I can provide that cash payment. And we're going to talk about whether that's the right thing to do or not. Going down further in this document, I learned that I was going to be skipping two payments. I was skipping two $1,300 payments, and so that's cash going into my account instead of going into my loan. And I also learned that I was rolling a property tax payment into the new loan amount. So that's another thing that is increasing my cash assets, but also increasing my liability on the home loan side. And so that's very important to consider. Do I want to pay these closing costs myself, or do I want to roll them into the loan? Well, since the cost of debt capital is so low and my after-tax cost of debt capital is around 2.3% APR, I do not want to pay this loan off. I want to invest that money. So I want to keep as much cash as possible. So I rolled that into my loan. So right here I say the loan amount is increasing from $271,900 to roughly $277,000. That is a $5,000 increase right there. That's a big deal. But going down to the loan amortization schedules here, you'll see my old loan here with the $1,300 payment. I was going to pay $195,700 in interest over the life of the loan. The new loan, I will be paying $157,187 in interest, and this is a $38,000 savings right here. So that's fantastic. Now if I continue to make my old payment on the new loan, I will pay off my new loan earlier in 2046, and I will also only pay $137,119 in interest. And that's an additional $20,000 savings. So that's awesome to see that. So I like to use this loan calculator on Bankrate to visualize amortization schedules. It's very helpful. I will put this in the link below, but take a look at this. When you click on show amortization schedule, you can see how much of your payment is going to principal, how much to interest, and you can see the balance of your loan and when you'll pay it off. And it's very eye-opening to see how much you're paying in interest on the loan. Down here, this is where the refinance process gets really interesting and things happen that I didn't expect. Radian Title messed up my wire when we were paying off the loan, and so they had to pay for the extra amounts that I paid in interest because they delayed the payment or the payoff on my old loan. So they ended up giving me about $200. That was to cover the interest expense, and this came to me in cash, in a check, and then cash in my account basically. And then United Wholesale Mortgage, they gave me a check for $1259.36. And then Shop Your Own Mortgage gave me a check for $768.59, and that was for the points for my loan. And so the total checks I received were $2,225.74. Now, as far as skipped payments, I skipped 2 payments on my mortgage, and that's $2,600. I also rolled a tax payment into the loan right here, which is $1,099.95. So the total payments that I saved over that 2-month period was $3,699.95 right here. And so the total increase in my cash assets from that is $5,925.69. So where did that go? That ended up getting rolled into my liability on the house, the loan on the house. So that's not free money. Although I increased my cash assets, I also increased the liability. I increased the amount that I owe on the loan. So it's very important to see that. So then we come down here. Before I refinanced, the loan principal payoff was $271,900. The new loan amount that started in January for my refinance was $277,360 right here. The principal on that minus the cash assets that I received, those checks and the payments that I skipped, that looks like this, $271,434. And my net worth basically decreased by $320 by doing this refinance. That's this figure right here minus this figure right here. So what do I want to see? I want to see when my savings in my payment will pay off that decrease in my net worth. So because I lost $320 to this refinance, it will take me 4 months to recover that expense. And so when you go back to the budgeting doc that I showed you, so you see I have a mortgage payment of $1,207.09, and this is my budget. It looks nice. Let's change that back to $1,300 to see what it looked like before. You notice when I go to $1,300, I have less residual after savings down here. Also, my target rent for what I want to rent this property goes up because when I qualify for my next investment property, I can only use 75% of my rental income to qualify for that. And so if we go back, see, that changes quite significantly. So this refinance was very beneficial for that. The other thing that is great about the refinance is I ended up with more cash assets. I ended up with about $6,000 cash assets from the payments that I saved because there were a couple months where I had 0 payment. So with those 2 months that I had 0 payment, my residual after savings was pretty significant here, $3,564. That's really great. So that goes into my account. And then the other thing was I got those checks. I got the refund from UWM. That goes into my income up here. And that was a little bit over $2,000 for all of those checks. And so that also would affect my residual after savings. That goes into my investment account and I invest in stocks and bonds. And then also I can take that cash and purchase my next investment property. And so that's why I want the cash asset rather than having it tied up in this illiquid non-cash asset, which is the home. And so that is what I did with my refinance. And that's the most important thing to consider is that when you do the refinance, you are impacting your net worth because there is an expense on the refinance. For me, my net worth decreased by $320 when I did this whole refinance procedure with all these papers. So with that net worth decrease, I need the savings on the payment to cover that in order for it to make sense. And so for me, it's going to take 4 months for me to recover that expense. And then I am benefiting from the extra cash flow. And so that is why I refinanced. Now, what's happening with the coronavirus now is that the interest rates are going down even more, and the properties in my area are going up. And so I may be looking at cash out refinancing this property now because the valuation has gone up. Now, when I do that, I do have to pay for an appraisal, and so the hit to my net worth will be greater. I'll lose more on the refinance. It's going to be a more expensive refinance, but it'll be worth it in the long run, and I may go over that in the future if I decide to go that route. But for now, this is what the refinance procedure looks like. And again, I see people do this all the time. They are buying down their loan for thousands of dollars to get a very low rate and basically increasing their payback period to an absurd amount of time. And that is the biggest mistake that you can do. And so you want to see how the refinance will impact your net worth. If it's going to be significant and the payoff period is going to be a significant amount of time, I would not go through with the refinance. However, if you can do the refinance for a very low cost and the payment savings is pretty great, like in my case, where I lost $320 in my net worth in order to save almost $100 a month, that is very worth it. So go ahead and check out the loan calculator I put in the description. Also, if you want to get a quote on your home loan, the company that I work for does this for free. The downside is that we're only in a few states because we're a startup, but it's very helpful to see what you will save when you do this. That is all I have for you on the home loan refinance. Next week, I'm going to continue with another conceptual financial video before getting into more Excel models. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure that you enjoy your car.